think about some of the ugliest conflicts I've had, it's interesting because they say the opposite of love is hate, but it's not, right? The opposite of love is indifference. And sometimes the madder you are at that person or the madder they are at you, it reflects how close you were. Like I'm not just mad at you because you did something wrong to me. I'm mad at you because I still kind of I love you, but I hate you. Maybe I hate that I love you, or I just or you just or the hurt that came from from whatever occurred. It hurt me more that a person close to me did that to me than it would if a stranger did or said or whatever the case may be, right? And I think that and you see it all the time. I mean, I don't know how many of y'all give me a yes or no in the chat if you can think of examples of times where two people were really close and suddenly things just blew up and went out of control and it became just the most ridiculous ghetto slugfest type situation you've ever seen. And I'm not just talking about not with just fists. I'm talking about just just got ugly, got real ugly. And I see that a lot actually all over the place. I see it on the internet. I see where black folks get mad at each other on the internet. Next thing you know, it's like I'm going to destroy you as you're destroying me. And when everybody's destroying everybody else, nobody wins because then we're all just broken up and busted. And it seems like that's a big problem in a lot of our families. What do you think, Dr. Price?
Well, what I love that you brought up is, and I know you specialize in the business of Black people, we care very deeply. We are very much community-minded people who care deeply. And when you care deeply, you hurt deeply. And that energy, passion, and commitment has to go somewhere. You mentioned energy at the beginning of the broadcast. And so what I think is important, and that sometimes, again, that we still miss, is that when someone doesn't mean anything to me at all, there is absolutely no energy, no passion, no commitment. And then you layer in your life's work. And in many cases for entrepreneurs, my life savings. This is how I feed my family. And we come into conflict about how that gets handled. We can start to live up to kind of what our lowest ideals are and not be our best selves. And that is not ultimately what we want. And I love Dr. George Fraser and his approach is when he says, if we can figure out how to be better together, the world is just so conquerable in that regard. If we can figure that out. And, I like to stay in my lane. I know your lovely bride does these things in romantic relationships. That is not my lane. In fact, it's an area where if people start looking, they can figure out that I don't have that mastered. But when we are talking about teams, and when I say teams, I even mean just two people who are trying to do business together. I feel like I'm one of the best there is at helping people not use hope as a strategy, to be thoughtful and strategic about how are we going to handle things when we see them differently. And then I don't need to hold you accountable to anything but what you said. So Dr. Boyce, if we sit down and we come to an agreement and then you are not honoring your agreement, I just have to hold you accountable to what you said. And none of this works if people lack character. But I believe that most people who have the wherewithal to go into business together aspire to show up in with integrity and with character.